Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Opposition Preview Show. It's all about the opposition this evening, and that is, of course, West Ham United. Jay, massive thank you for sorry there, miss. Massive thank you for jumping on the stream, mate. How have you been?
No worries. All good, mate. All good. Looking forward to tomorrow night. It's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah, obviously, if you haven't seen the episode I done last night with Jay, or obviously E20 Zone TV, all the links are in the description. So please, if you're not subscribed, head over, show your support as well, Reds. And if there's any hammers, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And welcome if you're discovering. Make sure you always put the thumbs up and drop a like and subscribe to all the lads' channels as well. Hopefully, you'll potentially being joined by Anton from the West Ham Network. Anyway, if not, it's just me and Jay, like it was last night. Anyway. We're going to be discussing all things West Ham. Jay, we'll get straight into it, really. West Ham this season, bit of a difficult start. I think Liverpool and West Ham, with obviously Leicester and a couple of other teams, didn't really start the season absolutely flying, really, mate. But from your point of view, how have West Ham been? I think the expectations off the back of last year, similar with Liverpool, mate, were obviously to try and do a bit more better. Obviously, only a couple of points off top four European football, mate. But how have you gauged this season's performance?
For me, inconsistent is the word I look for. West Ham last season were very good at the start and then derailed because of Europa League. This season has been not great. Not great at all. It's more in the league than it is anywhere else. In Europe, we're doing all right, but in the league, we just can't seem to sort of string a run of form together. Over recent times, over the last sort of 4 or 5 games, we have done. We've started to grind out games. And I think the fear was West Ham could go down this year the way they was performing. I look at the talent that we have. People say, "Oh, West Ham are never going to go down," but the fear was there. They've sort of sorted themselves out in the last sort of month. 5 weeks to say, you know what, this is what it's all about. But yeah, this season's been a strange one with me. A lot of that's on Moyes, a lot of it's on the players, a lot of it is on new players coming to the club and not adapting to the Premier League straight away. There's a whole host of things, but it hasn't been great this year in the Premier League for certain.
Yeah, you mentioned Moyes, mate. We'll go straight into that, really, in terms of, I was speaking to you last night and you asked me, what's the view from the outside point of view? I compared him with Brendan Rodgers on last night's episode in terms of both managers really quite stubborn in the way in which they do approach football games. But I've watched all your shows this season, mate, and it seems like from the West Ham point of view, from the majority of everyone, they've been very disappointed. What has happened this season? Has he stagnated from a tactical sense, really, or from you, mate?
I think what it is, they try to play a possession-based game, West Ham, and West Ham are not used to that. That's not their style of play. They tried to change the system, and it took a while. It took a while for them to adapt to that system. They've actually threw that system out the window now because it ain't working, and they've gone back to the old way of doing things, counter-attacking football and allowing teams to have the ball. And when West Ham get hold of the ball, they're more up the pitch and threatening. I think they've tried to experiment with different players in different positions and square pegs and round holes. I think Moyes has got a lot to do with that. The way he carries on with certain players. And for a man who's been a manager at West Ham for over 3 years now, since 2020, he should know like how West Ham play. And he's trying to adapt a system where some teams have took them 5 years to learn that system, like the art of that system, and he's trying to learn it in 6 months. So, there's been a lot of things really, but some of this, it has been on Moyes. He has got a lot of criticism, Moyes, rightfully so. And I think a lot of fans have looked at him and think he's took us as far as he can take us, as in the Premier League aspect. And there is better managers out there than David Moyes, who's out of work at the minute.
Yes, was waxing lyrical with a couple of them last night, mate, weren't we? Obviously, as a result, pinpointed, obviously, last five fixtures, obviously, the win against Fulham, obviously, European adventure, we'll get to that in a little second, mate, but in terms of Premier League, a big draw, similar with us. Both teams have got a draw against Arsenal, and it's coincided with probably a massive result, probably one of your biggest results of the season against Bournemouth. What was probably one of the most positive things to come out of that game, mate. Obviously the goals, but was there anything different to West Ham's performance last week than we've seen in previous?
Scoring from set pieces is one thing that I've noticed with West Ham recently. They've started to score from set pieces when that was our weapon for a good few years, and then that sort of derailed last season. They was clinical against Bournemouth. That's one thing I will say. West Ham have played games this season. I've watched them play, and they have banged the door down. They just can't literally walk through it. Literally, they've been trying to score a goal, and they could be there all night. And against Bournemouth, I think he scored early. We got the second straight away, and then the third one went in just before half time through Declan, and then it was just all over by then. Do you know what I'm saying? But I would say they've changed their tune, West Ham, because they've had to. I think after the Arsenal game, they realised that they could compete, and they had the confidence to go, you know what, we can compete with these teams. Do you know what I'm saying? So it was. I would say the confidence is coming back, not fully there, but it's coming back.
Yeah, probably the worst time to play Liverpool. Typical, mate. In all honesty, we'll get to start 11s. Obviously, that was the start 11 that did play against Bournemouth as well. Chat, if you got any questions for obviously Jay, chat, get them in. Obviously, please do start the message with obviously a Q at the beginning, so I know it's a question anyway. We'll get to Rob's comments anyway. How far, Jay, does David Moyes have to go to redeem himself? Or is he bends his bridges?
Good question, mate. Good question. For me, I just look at him now that he can't do no more than what he's already done. And for me, it's all about progress. And I don't think this season we have progressed in the league. I think we've gone backwards in the league. And we are lucky in the league to a point, because there's been some games this year where we have nicked results, and then there's been some games where we've been very, very unlucky. But I just don't. I look at Moyes against the top 6 sides away from home. He never competes with any of them away from home. Like we played Jews at the reverse fixture. We lost the game 1-0, but there was no attack threat there really in that game. Like, and it's just, I think what it is with West Ham. I think West Ham are looking at it and seeing that they've been to Europe and in the Europa League. They want to. They've tasted it and they want a bit more of it. And I think West Ham should be aiming a bit higher than where they are. Do you know what I mean? I look at teams like Brentford, Brighton, Villa, who are all competing for that spot now. And West Ham have not performed this season, but I will say, if he does go and win the Conference League, then we've got a problem, because we've got a manager that's give us a trophy, the first trophy in 43 years. What do? Do you get rid of the man who's just delivered the trophy, or do you give him another chance? That's the $1 million question. Yeah,
spot on, mate. It's difficult, isn't it? Especially obviously for every football club up and down the land. You want to be watching your team play expansive, nice attacking football. I think gone are the days of obviously the Sam Allardyces and the archaic type of football. Really, of course, if you're a good defensive coach and you get the best out of him, but first and foremost, you need the right blend, really. You look at Eddie Howe, he's revolutionised his tactics, took a year out, come back. Obviously, his Bournemouth side was quite lauded in terms of nice attacking football, but obviously that spell out, he's really evaluated his tactics. And that, as I spoke with you, mate, obviously David Moyes, I don't think he'd quite do that, really. He's quite stubborn. But time will tell. Nice one for that, Rob, as well. Obviously, a couple of other questions. We'll get through them as well very quickly. European rides, Jay, last year was magical. This year, as you've just alluded to there, how important is that been to, obviously, this season, really? Just giving you a bit of something to look forward to, in all honesty, on such a difficult year. And obviously a club the size of West Ham, especially last year's performance in the league. Have you done anything different in terms of when you've analysed the games in Europe compared to the Premier League form? Has there been a different rationale of thinking? Or
I think what it is with Europe, some of the teams that we have played have just been very, very poor sides. I think when West Ham have played them, we've played them at the right times. We played our last game against Ghent, and I'll be honest with you, in the first half of that game, I wasn't really happy. West Ham was drawing the game 1-1. We give away a sloppy goal, and we can't keep allowing teams to keep going 1-0 up on us, right, for us to kick into gear.
Yeah.
Second half is probably the best second half I've seen West Ham play all season. Do you know what I'm saying? I believe West Ham can get to the final. I actually do believe West Ham can win it.
Yeah.
I believe that we will get enough points in the league now, because where we are now, I feel more comfortable now than I was 3 weeks ago. I think we will be safe, and I think West Ham will throw all their eggs into the basket, like they should have done last season with the Europa League. I think last season in the Europa League, the Premier League form dipped. And they did put all their eggs in one basket, but we were safe. Do you know what I mean? We was like top 10. This season is a bit different. I think they will learn from last season, learn what happened against Frankfurt, and I do believe West Ham will get to the final of the conference. Then it is a toss of a coin, but nothing would surprise me. West Ham, mate. They've drew one game out of 12 in the conference, and they've won the rest. Do you know what I mean? They've won basically 11 out of 12 wins. Do you know what I mean? So, and they are unbeaten. So, I don't know. I just fancy West Ham this year. I really do. And I just think if West Ham was to finish in sort of 14th and win the conference, I think every West Ham fan will be over the moon with that. It's just that this season, the fear of relegation has woke a lot of fans up to say this is not how it should be. Like West Ham should be not fighting to stay in the league, and we have been for the last 4 months, really, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And keep on getting your questions in for Jay anyway, chat. I'll get straight to obviously all of them anyway. But if you are new around here, hit that subscribe button down below. Obviously, make sure you head over to subscribe to the E20 Zone TV as well. The link is in the description and is also in the comments there. Nice one, Mark, for that, matey. Appreciate it. Jay, in terms of how good is Lucas Paqueta, we'll speak about Declan Rice in a little second. I know a couple of people have mentioned it's every single time Liverpool play West Ham, he's a talented player. But in relation to Rob's question, how good is Lucas Paqueta? Can you keep hold of him? And really, how is he implemented into West Ham's setup this season?
Interesting one, because when he arrived, I was very, very excited. And I'll be honest, the first few months, I was like, well, this player's not worth £50 million. Like, what we've signed, sort of thing. Over the last, say, 2 months, he's starting to look like the £50 million player that we've signed. He's starting to run games and influence games. He wasn't influencing games before, and now he is. He's starting to sort of dictate how West Ham play. His passing is absolutely first class. His work rate is brilliant. Can we keep hold of him? I think we can. I think next season you will know where Lucas Paqueta is. I think this season's been a learning season for him. There is one problem I do have with him, and it is just a minor problem, is that when he is on the ball, he takes too long to release the ball. Yeah. But other than that, everything that he does pretty well. It's a typical Brazilian midfielder. Like he knows how to get out of tight spaces. His tackling ability, he's starting to get better. Yeah. Like when he first arrived, he was a yellow card every time, but now he's sort of nullified that. Good player, very good player. I'm very happy to have him. Let's put it like that.
Do you reckon you'll be keeping hold of him as well, potentially?
I think we will. I think people had the chance to sign him last time and they didn't, and West Ham come in and obviously got him. I think he likes the club. I think he's adapting to the surroundings. I think being in London's good for him. He's got a few people there who he's built strong relationships with Emerson and Nathan Gued. I think Paqueta's fine. I think Paqueta is the future. I think when Declan does go, Paqueta's the man who's going to sort of take over the mantle of Declan Rice, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely, mate. He's a big lad as well, isn't he? Paqueta, I think he's like 6'1", 6'2". So very stereotypical of obviously the profile on which David Moyes would bring in. But Shay's got a great question here. Probably a lot of yous. We mentioned Declan Rice. Do you think West Ham will be able to keep hold of Declan Rice in the summer? And obviously just give the chat radio lowdown in terms of how long has he got left on his contract as
He's got, if I've got this right, he's got 1 year left, and the club's got an option to extend it to another year. So technically he's got 2 years. Do I think he's going to be here in the summer? No. I think he's on his way out the door. But West Ham will not budge on anything less than what they expect to get for him. Dec's a good player, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much do you reckon he's a value on that? in terms of the board?
For me, when I look at other players, I look at other players who've gone to other clubs. Like I use Jack Grealish as an example, and that's a different type of position, but you still got to look at it. Declan Rice is worth £100 million of anyone's money, mate. He's 24 years old. You're going to get 10 years out of him easy. He's going to be a future England captain for me. He can run the show. He can play in multiple positions. He can play as centre half, DM. He can go as a central midfielder. He can do a lot of things there. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's one of the reasons why West Ham have been doing so well. Do you know what I'm saying? People are very critical of Declan because they go, "Oh yeah, like he passes the ball back and sideways and all that." That's rubbish. He plays the ball forward. He's scoring goals now, and I think even in a better team with more license to do what he wants to do, I think he'll be phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Do I want him to go? No. I want him to stay at West Ham for the rest of his career. But I've got to be real, and I've got to say that he's not going to be with West Ham. It's going to break a lot of West Ham fans' hearts when he does go. But we need the right money for him to build the team because of Declan Rice. Like we can accept him going, but we can't accept him going for peanuts. When I look at other players like Phillips, who's gone to Manchester City and hasn't done anything for about 40-50 million pounds. So I look at Dec as a player that he will leave. Where I would like him to go is to a team that will be competing for trophies. I don't want him to go to like an Arsenal, for instance. Like I just don't see. Like I see the plan with Arteta, and I've heard it all, but I just don't understand. If he goes to Liverpool, or he goes to Manchester City, who are going to be competing on all fronts, like on all competitions, I can accept that as a fan. I can't accept him going to Manchester United. I really can't. I can't accept him going to Arsenal. I don't think he'll go back to Chelsea because, for me, he's burnt by Chelsea because they released him, and I'll be very, 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 very shocked if he ever went back to Chelsea. But he will go, and it will be a sad day this season when he does, and hopefully he brings us the conference before he does.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And it's that value, as you alluded to there, mate. I think a lot of people, when you kind of forget the price tag, you're not just buying the player, you're buying the player, i.e. how involved he is at the football club. He is the main man, as you said, mate. I've seen a nonsense report today linking Calvin Phillips. Some of these journos, I think they must get the qualifications off Google or something. Google for the tenor, anyway. Nonsense report, anyway, that one. We'll keep on getting your comments as well. Big up there, chat as well, everyone. Make sure to just get straight to the comments. As Eamon said there, Moyes wins the Conference League. Does he keep the job? I think more or less Jay's obviously alluded to that, really. Rob's got another question anyway, and then we'll go straight on to obviously his starting 11s as well, and obviously score predictions. But Rob's gone, has the amount of money spent be an issue to West Ham because you've brought in some top talent and regressed in the league, mate?
I would say to a point, because West Ham don't ever spend £163 million plus. Like that's one thing we don't do. I do think that we've brought a lot of players in, and it's just affected. Like a lot of foreign players in, and they're trying to acclimatise to the Premier League. Right? It's very easy to go and get players in, one or two, and you can like embed them into your side. But when you're bringing in 5-6 players, it can be difficult. I think we've been unlucky with injuries this year, which hasn't helped the situation. But I like West Ham spending that sort of money. I think the fans deserve it. As a West Ham fan, I expect West Ham to spend that sort of money sort of yearly. Like, do you know what I mean? But we don't. Like, we're very sort of cheap and cheerful signings, but we're going for quality rather than quantity now, which is good. Like, if West Ham was to go out and sign 5 players or 4 players and they spent £110 million, I'll be happy. Because it's quality that they're buying, not sort of just people who are rejects at other clubs and looking for a pay packet, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Hopefully that answers it, Rob. Spot on. 3 points, and yeah. Would you agree with Diamond? Obviously, on Eamon's comment, Jay. I spoke to you last night, and I said that to you. But it's obviously going into this game. That's obviously what you'd be saying before you go on the pitch tomorrow night, mate, wouldn't you? If you were David Moyes or some of these players, to very much solidify your place in the Premier League.
Yeah, I would say at present I'm very comfortable with tomorrow night's game. Like if you'd have asked me this a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, we would have been on lesser points than we are now, I'd be very, very nervous about tomorrow night because we obviously we got beat by Newcastle, which we deserved to get beat. It was absolutely awful. But I think if we was to get a point by tomorrow night, for me, that's good. Beat Palace, and then basically I will believe we are safe. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, we can't take it for granted because we have got Manchester, the two Manchester clubs coming up, City and United. So we're going to have to be careful. But yeah, I would say another win, if not 4 points, will do it for us, 100%.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Obviously, in terms of the top scorers, obviously Danny Ings, as you can see there, chat, obviously getting 8 goals. Jared Bowen had a disappointing season, in all honesty, from my point of view, from an outside. But obviously, Jared Bowen with the assists as well. Have you been disappointed with Jared? But I think it's been coincided. It's similar with Liverpool. You're looking around the team. It hasn't helped that other players around them have had disappointing seasons, really. Do you expect him to go again potentially in the next 12 months?
I'll be honest. Start of the season, he was absolutely atrocious. I mean, really, really bad. Like pointless, really. Up until the World Cup, when he didn't go to the World Cup, I think that sort of made him wake up a little bit. Since the World Cup, he has been one of our best players. Like he has been on it, and especially over the last sort of 2 months, he's been really carrying West Ham in attack. Do you know what I'm saying? Where other players have been sort of slacking to a point. Jared last season was unreal. Like he was absolutely unreal. And this season he hasn't hit them heights. There is a player there, and he will get to that standard again. But I just think this season the whole team have sort of been inconsistent, all at different times. Like it ain't sort of like one man has been inconsistent and then the rest of the team's been playing well. It's like 2, 3, 4 of them have been inconsistent in one game. So it's like I think Jared, it hasn't been a good season for him, but the last sort of 2, 3 months, he has been performing. I will say that, and he has been one of our top players the last few months.
Yeah, spot on, mate. There's a couple of questions here. We'll get to them in a little seconds, Shay. But in terms of obviously starting 11, in terms of going into tomorrow evening's game, mate, from your point of view, David Moyes, obviously, as I alluded to, Ben Rahman, Antonio Bowen, Paqueta, Rice, Souček, Cresswell, Agard, obviously Zuma, Kufal, and Fabianski. Do you anticipate any potential changes or going into tomorrow night's game, mate?
I can see Ben Rama coming out. I can understand people saying 4 nails in this team because we discussed it yesterday. When you said about Trent moves into the middle, I think that's West Ham's best move is to get pace on that left hand side. So when Trent does come into the middle, if West Ham can turn the ball over and get it out to the left, Trent's always going to be out of position. And Trent against pace is quite an interesting one. Like if you put pace against him, then he's going to have to think about it. I think the goalkeeper picks himself, Fad. The 2 centre halves pick themselves in Zuma and Aguerd. Cresswell's an interesting one for me because him against Salah, Salah's going to ruin him, if I'm going to be honest. But Cresswell's done okay. I ain't going to say he's done great, but he's done okay. Kufal will definitely, or Soufal will definitely play. The 3-man midfield should all play. Paqueta, Rice and Souček. Obviously, Souček's the one. If Liverpool are targeting any man in midfield, he's the man to target because when he's got ball to feet, he's a problem to us. Like because he don't release the ball and his passing is not very good. Paqueta and Rice, if they're in right there, they can get him out of trouble. But Souček is the weakening. But I think West Ham will use him aerially for set pieces and like corners, everything. Do you know what I'm saying? And then up front, I do think Antonio will play. Jared will definitely play. The left-hand side's a 1 of 3. It's either going to be Maxwell Cornet, Pablo Fornals, or Saeed Benrahma. I like Saeed, and I back Saeed up quite a lot, but I don't think this is the game for him. I think West Ham need pace on that side, and I think Fornals isn't a pace merchant. I think he's a good player, good workhorse. Yeah, he's more technical, and I just think Maxwell needs to play a game. This is really a free hit for West Ham. Also, West Ham has to treat this like a free hit. Whatever happens in this game happens. So I would like to see Cornet on that side. So it would be Cornet, Antonio, and Bowen, as to like Cornet and Bowen being 2 inside forwards, and Antonio being sort of the target man, one who holds the ball up. Because I do think, as you said it last night on E20, with Trent moving into the middle,
So
the space on that side is going to be huge. And if West Ham do turn the ball over and stop the overload, they could get the ball out to that left fast, and we could break. So that's what I think, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Defo. We'll get to all the comments as well. Make sure you head over and subscribe to E20 Zone TV as well, chat. Jay, absolute legends, been on plenty of times over the seasons. And there's a couple of questions coming in terms of obviously Shay's comment there, and I think it was Mark's as well. If it was, I think it was Mark's. Very, very similar anyway in relation to the question. What players or positions do West Ham need to strengthen in terms of the summer window? I spoke to you last night. You probably watched Liverpool as a neutral going, as we discussed last night. We're at sea this season, in all honesty. Obviously, the drop off, Liverpool's midfield potentially, big surgery. But for West Ham next season, mate, obviously the big question, obviously, as we spoke about before, you alluded to, is David Moyes going to be here past the 12 months? But in terms of when you analyse that West Ham side, what's probably what positions for you do you think you need to improve?
For me, when Declan goes, that's the key position. We have to. We're never going to find a player like Declan, right, for the money. So we're going to have to sort of recruit in that middle of the park. I think the replacement's got to be massive, really. Like whoever it is and whoever they're targeting, it's got to be the right man for that position. I wouldn't mind a few players from the Championship. There's a few players in the Championship that I like the look of. Alex Scott at Bristol City, I think, is an excellent player. There's a few players abroad. I wouldn't mind having. I know he's like one of your enemies over at Everton, but Onana, who we was linked with for the whole of the summer.
He's good.
Yeah, we should have got him. We didn't get him, and I don't think we will get him. But he would have been a dream signing for West Ham. I think the left back position is a major problem at West Ham. West Ham have got left backs who are okay, but we needed good, or if not very good, if we're going to play a 4-3-3. So I think left back and right back are key positions, and the left-sided winger is a major problem. I think Ben Rama is good in my eyes. In some people's eyes, they're not a fan. Yeah, I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he gets harshly treated, but I do think we need some pace in our team. I'm not worried how many players we do sign, but as long as they're pace merchants, because sometimes I think we lack in pace, and if Jared's not on it, then we've got no pace, and that's not really good.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So hopefully that answers the question there, Shay. You might line up. Daz, it was obviously on the episode yesterday, chat. If you haven't seen, obviously me, Kev, obviously, and the lads discuss. Obviously, that was our point of view. This is all about the opposition. Today's episode, anyway, mates. As Scouts said, evening, can't wait. I'm a bit worried for this game. We just need to score goals and not worry about counter attacks and set pieces. Yeah, as I said to Jay, I'm having kittens. I'm having flashbacks to the Forest game. I've always literally not being able to actually do the basics fundamentally on a set piece. So obviously we scored 3 against Forest, but not doing the basics, especially Virgil van Dijk. And I don't know if you've seen the video, Jay. I've only just seen it. The lads pointed it out yesterday. But Henderson more or less told Darwin Núñez to move, just to move away from but Darwin did see the danger, and then lo and behold, ball gets chucked in, ball falls to the exact same position Darwin Núñez would have been. And then Henderson's that made to look a bit silly. Anyway, score prediction for tomorrow, mate. For you, as I was saying yesterday, I anticipate goals. Getting conceded from both sides, mate.
I'm going to go for a 2-2, Jack. I think this is a banker draw. I do like a bet, as you know, on E20, and I do a lot of betting content. I think this is a banker draw. I think both teams. I think it's banker draw over 2.5 goals. I think there's goals in this game all day long. I'll be very, very surprised if there's under 2.5 goals in this game. 2-2 draw. I think West Ham will turn up. Obviously, it's a night game at the LS. Liverpool are a side that West Ham seem to turn up against, especially at home. We always have really good games. It's either you win or we win. And I don't think there's been a draw at the LS for a long time. So I am going to go for a 2-2. I don't think West Ham are at that stage yet, in my opinion, to go and beat a big side. but they're playing that well at the minute not to lose against the big side. So I just think the draw is the bet for me tomorrow night. So yeah, I'm going for a 2-2.
2-2, mate, definitely. I'm just looking at the form guide over the last couple of years. The last draw between West Ham and Liverpool was back in 2016, and that was in the FA Cup game. Obviously, and then used beat us in the first fixture back in 2016 anyway. Obviously, that was a very long ago anyway. But it's, chat, we'll get to everyone's comments as well. We'll round off here anyway. So I really do appreciate you all dropping in and getting your comments in for Jay. Scouts Conference League. Is the Conference League from Scouts as great as it looks? Will LFC love it next season? Like it's the modern football fan. I think all of us, every football fan very much has turned its nose at it. But have you come round to, especially if you win it, mate? It's
I'm
still
going to be honest.
A trophy.
Some of the journeys, the fans have been on. They've been to Bucharest. They've been to Iron Napa. They're going to Amsterdam. They've been to Ghent, like in Belgium. They've been to some nice places. And what it is with us West Ham fans is you don't support West Ham for the trophies. That's the old saying. You support it because you love the club, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, I would appreciate any trophy at the minute. West Ham haven't won a trophy, and the last time we nearly won a trophy was against your boys in 2006 when Gerrard broke all of our hearts. But for me, I do see people turning their nose up at it, but you've got to appreciate that not everyone's going to be like the Big Six. Like, do you know what I mean? Some teams have got to build that sort of structure, and West Ham will definitely not turn their nose up at winning this competition. Far from it. 43 years, as I say, we haven't won a trophy, and I think it's about time we won one. So not at all. It's definitely worth it. If you're a developing club, obviously it's a bit different for Liverpool. Liverpool have been Champions League winners multiple times. Do you know what I'm saying? But for West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Brentford, if they was to get into that competition and go on to win it, that's a great achievement, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll echo those words as well, mate. It's especially if you delve too much on Twitter, it's a trophy at the end of the day. I think if you're in it, of course, it will distract you in the league potentially, but I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. And I know everyone in chat will be all hoping that West Ham do the business in Europe, mate. You've got all of our backing anyway. But obviously, Kev's in sunny. It's nice. Kev, stop rubbing it in, Lara. We can't have Tenerife weather over there anyway, sadly. Obviously, Jake, just please do shout out your channel, and obviously, you're alive on the channel now, mate, aren't you?
Yeah.
Streaming the under 18s, under 20s.
Under 18s youth final, Arsenal versus West Ham. Yeah, listen, I'm over at E20 Zone TV. Got a good bunch of lads who will do our stuff, do player ratings, match reviews on all West Ham games. I usually do a lot of other stuff where I have people on from different clubs, talk about their clubs and things like that. So, yeah, just go over there and check us out. And if you want, please do subscribe.
Make sure you head over, subscribe, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you very much, first and foremost, for jumping on this evening. And chat, head over, show your support as well to Jay and his channel and the lads as well. But Reds, if you missed yesterday's episode, it is live on the channel. A bit more in-depth talk of, obviously, from our point of view, from Liverpool side. But I will be doing a lot more of these shows, fan opposition shows, really, first and foremost. Get rounds and get the lowdown, really, first and foremost, from the West Ham side. But Jay and chat, have a lovely rest of your night, morning, wherever you are watching. And Jay, I'd say good luck for the rest of the season, but not for tomorrow night anyway. But you'll probably be getting a message off me if we get absolutely battered. But see you later, mate. And everyone, have a lovely rest of your night. There's a couple of cracking games on this evening. The Leicester Leeds game? Just a quick one on that, Jay. What are you hoping from that? A draw would probably be ideal for Muse, really.
Yeah, draw for us, please.
So that's the relegation El Clasico down there anyway. As long as it moves Everton away from closer to the bottom three, we're all happy. But chat, enough of the Ev. Sod them. They win the championship next season. See you later, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your night. You never walk alone. To that.